Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be once again going over that Christmas Eve into Christmas snowstorm and also just major storm in general. We have a huge wind threat and also somewhat of a severe weather threat. We're going to go over all of that within this video. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you dig weather related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and the pinned comment down below, and also our very awesome Patreon page, where I'm going to actually be making a second post about that upcoming snowstorm potentially for the very end of December and through the new year. Anyways, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, how big of a severe weather threat do you think we have? Do you think it will stick with a slight risk, or do you think we could get an enhanced risk? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at that European model. We always start out with this one. And our storm is actually pretty much located over the Pacific Northwest, where snow is falling for the higher elevation areas. If you're out there in the Pacific Northwest, let us know what are the conditions like on the ground. That's going to be for today. Well, a little bit earlier actually, maybe. Let's just go ahead and take it to about the PM hours tomorrow on Wednesday. That's going to be maybe about 10 p.m. On Wednesday. And as you can see, we're going to be seeing some snowfall up there for Minnesota, Wisconsin, with a low pressure system that develops. But really, that cold front is starting to really push eastward. You can see that massive trough moving in for the central United States. Likely some severe weather down there for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, maybe even Arkansas at that point. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards where we're going to start seeing some snow for the eastern half of the United States as this cold front just moves closer and closer to the east coast. Alright, now as you can see, we're reaching about the very early morning hours on Thursday, December 24th. This is likely 3 or 4 a.m., so pretty much the middle of the night. We are seeing some snowfall up there for portions of Indiana and Michigan by this point. And yes, confidence is very much so increasing in some of these areas. For the past few days, I've been saying it's, likely that we could see some shifts. The closer and closer we get, the less likely there is that there will be a shift. I do expect it to still move around quite a bit, but not quite as much as I did in the beginning, obviously, as we're only about 57 hours away from this point. As you can see, there's some heavier precipitation down there for the Gulf states. Again, severe weather is likely for certain regions. Now let's just go ahead and move on towards the late afternoon or maybe early evening hours on Christmas Eve here. And as you can see, that low pressure system there along Virginia and North Carolina, it's now the more southern one that appears to be the more dominant one, which wasn't the case a few days ago. That's not what they were thinking originally. Well, the GFS was, but not the European model, which is the one we're taking a look at now. We see pretty moderate snowfall going on for eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, and even eastern Ohio. This has trended a little bit earlier, which therefore would trend further west because that trough is moving in very quickly. So the earlier it hits, the further west it's going to be. As you can see, this was originally West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, mostly seeing this snowfall. Now it looks like maybe Kentucky and Ohio, but just as quickly as it has trended west towards this, it can trend back east to showing Pennsylvania and New York. So you guys are not out of the equation yet, for sure. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards Christmas Eve night into Christmas morning and take a look at what it's going to look like by then. Alright, now as you can see, we're taking a look at maybe about, I would say, 10 p.m. on Thursday, December 24th, and as you can see, we still obviously have that very heavy line of rain, and by this point, thunderstorms likely for Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina there, and then heavy snowfall going on pretty much from the Smoky Mountains up northward through Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, and potentially Pennsylvania as well. We do have some freezing rain there. And really, I'm questioning if this is going to be a major snowstorm or not, but I know this is going to be a very major storm. We are going to have ice implications and very strong winds, actually, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. Either way, this is a very major winter storm in general. I do think that major snowfall isn't out of the question, though, for sure. By this point, we're likely seeing some severe weather, again, like I said, for Virginia and North Carolina. And by the time we reach maybe about 1 p.m. on Christmas Day, Friday, it's mostly moved out of the more southern regions. Up in New England, it's still around, so it's going to be kind of a rainy day up there for New England. But the further south you go, the more nice it's going to be. Plenty of lake effect snow going on, widespread throughout all of the lakes regions. Let's just go ahead and move on and take a look at the accumulated wind gusts. So basically, this is through the entirety to this point. So 120 hours, this takes the maximum wind gust at any given point. And as we can see here, if you're anywhere in the greens, you're under 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's still pretty strong, but 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts is a pretty moderate wind event. But for the East Coast, we're seeing plenty of 50s there in those yellows. The reds is 60s, and then the browns is 70s. So we're seeing 50 to 60, even 70 mile per hour wind gusts basically from Florida up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, the Delmarva, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all the way up through Maine. The closer you get, I would say, to southern New England, the most that's pretty much the most winds for coastal New England. More of the mid-Atlantic area, we're taking a look at lower 60s to mid-60s in the wind gusts, but still, that is a very major wind event, and it's due to that nor'easter that's going to be offshore. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and take a look at what the GFS has to say as far as the simulated radar, even what it has to say as far as the winds. We'll see if it agrees, and then we're going to get into the total snowfall, also the total amount of freezing rain, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that severe weather event as well, all coming up. All right, now as you can see, we're taking a look at about maybe 7 a.m. here on Thursday, December 24th, Christmas Eve, here on that GFS model, and it looks very, very similar to what the European model had to say. Maybe a little bit better of a severe weather chance down there for the Gulf states because it looks a little heavier with that precipitation. By the time we reach maybe about 1 a.m. here on Friday, December 25th, you can see we see the snow in pretty similar regions and also freezing rain. Again, that very strong low pressure system there offshore of the mid-Atlantic. And by the time we're reaching about 7 p.m. on Christmas Day, it's moved out. We see snow showers pretty widespread though. And here's that maximum accumulated wind gust here on the GFS model. And as you can see, it's in full agreement. 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts there for the northeast coast for the most part there. And if you're anywhere in the yellows or oranges, I mean, you're pretty much taking a look at major winds either way. So from the southeast all the way up through the northeast. So pretty much the entirety of the East Coast taking a look at some pretty major winds from this event. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, take a look at the total snowfall, take a look at also the freezing rain according to these models, and then also going to be taking a look at that severe weather threat at the very, very end of this video. Now, here's the European models, total accumulated snowfall, and the one thing I want you to know is this isn't taking into account the melting, the temperatures, anything like this. This is just the total amount of snowfall that is falling out of the sky. If you're anywhere in the grays, it's picking up a dusting, if anything. In the blues, a couple of inches to maybe about 6 inches. In the purples, it's about 6 to 10 inches. And then in the pinks, it's at about, I would say, 10 to 20 inches of snow. We don't really get above that anywhere. You're closer to 20 inches if you're near the lakes there for Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and that's because we're getting plenty of lake effect snow occurring in this time period as well, associated with this system. It's when we take a look at the snow depth, this is when the model is actually trying to predict how much snow will be on the ground. You can see it is significantly less snow, and that's why I'm really taking a look at potentially less of a major snowstorm and more of just a major winter storm with those winds, the ice, everything in general, making it major. But I don't know if the snow will be major by any means, because if we take a look at those lakes, it's picking up maybe 6 to 10 inches of snow. So that's probably like a moderate snowstorm in my opinion. It could be a bit more than what this model is showing, so it could still be major, but that right there isn't looking too major as far as snowfall. Taking a look at the freezing rain, there is some chance for some freezing rain in western Pennsylvania, a lot of upstate New York, portions of West Virginia as well. So we're going to be watching for that. If we get any more than what this is predicting, then it could become a very, major ice storm in a hurry. I do see 1/4 of an inch in some areas, so that is quite a bit. Again, we will be watching this closely. Here's the total snowfall according to the GFS model, and as you can see, it has pretty similar amounts to the European model, perhaps a little bit more than what the European model is calling for. But yeah, so in general, the same amounts there. Let's talk a little bit about that severe weather threat. We're taking a look at maybe about 3 or 4 p.m. here on Thursday, Christmas Eve. And this is the actual temperatures. So we're going to have very warm temperatures there for the southeast coast. Mostly we're taking a look at a risk for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and southeastern Virginia, where temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 60s. So that's going to be sufficient for severe weather, obviously. That's quite warm for this time of year. And take a look at those dew points. Because of this, I think I'm taking a look at mostly a chance there for South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. Like I said, dew points are going to be in the lower 60s, which again is very sufficient for severe weather, looking quite favorable for severe weather actually. And as we take a look at that CAPE, convective available potential energy, and this is really a good indicator of how much fuel those thunderstorms are going to have to work with. We're taking a look at anywhere from about 500 to 1,000, which is enough for severe weather to develop. And really, I took a look at what the Storm Prediction Center was forecasting, and they said there's going to be a strong line of thunderstorms that comes through, pretty widespread for a lot of regions. You don't really need CAPE for that type of an event because it's going to be a wind-driven event. But they do expect some supercells to be possible out in front of that very strong line of thunderstorms. So we're going to be watching for that as well, because obviously that could increase the tornado risk as well. Another thing that could increase that tornado risk is that we have very, very high shear in the area. So this is also a very high shear event, which typically those overperform as far as wind and tornadoes are concerned. Hail doesn't look to be a big risk, but I can recall last year we had an event similar to this. I think it was further north, maybe the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast there, in the winter time or maybe the fall time. But I know it was a wind-driven event, high shear, low CAPE, and we ended up seeing a lot of tornadoes and a lot of damaging wind reports. So I expect that could be possible with this event as well. Let's quickly take a look at what the Storm Prediction Center thinks for that day 3 risk, like I said, which is going to be Christmas Eve through Christmas Eve night. As you can see, they have a slight risk in that same area I mentioned. Again, South Carolina, North Carolina especially, and then even southeastern Virginia there. A marginal risk down there for the panhandle of Florida up through Georgia, Alabama, and pretty widespread throughout the Carolinas and Virginia, even the Delmarva. So yes, there is a pretty decent severe weather risk there for Thursday, Christmas Eve night into potentially Christmas morning. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, where do you think the bullseye of this storm will be and how much snow do you think it'll get? And nobody really answered what I was thinking as of this morning because it was yesterday and nobody foresaw that kind of western trend that we saw. So today I would probably say like Erie, Pennsylvania as a bullseye, but Clayton Krager said 14 inches, Tug Hill region, New York, and you can't really ever go wrong with the Tug Hill. They very typically see more snow than the surrounding regions, so I just picked that one. Good comment of the day there. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons. Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, Justin Quantrell, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Alan Palemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Cherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, and Mark J. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I'll see you guys in the next video.